welcome back to another episode of In the Sheds. I'm here with the man, Mr. Warspeed. G'day, Troy, how are you?
Thanks for coming down.
Mate, thank you for having us. A bit of a different episode. You don't have a tough car as such, but you just build tough cars for everyone, or tough engines for everyone.
Do a lot of engines. I've got a car, but...
Yep. Is it the Corolla? Or?
Yeah, my Corolla.
That is tough in a sense,
left
right?
field,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, left field, what I do.
What's the go with that? One cylinder?
So it's a 4-cylinder, 1.5 litre.
That's right, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you don't drive that much? Or
just got reg on it yesterday, so it'll be back on the road in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
What inspired something like that?
Build what you wanted when you were a P plater and you couldn't afford it. So
and now you just build crazy engines.
Yeah.
I don't think there's probably an engine or a motorsport that you haven't got something rolling in Australia.
So we've pretty much done a lot of different stuff over the years.
Yep.
Traditionally, I started in doing, I started in an engine shop, but my sport when I was growing up was water ski racing.
Yep.
So we did a lot of water ski racing and engines for that for a while.
And what's sort of like a stereotypical engine in a sport like that?
So back then it was twin turbo big block Chevs and then class specific. So 6 litre, 8 litre, so naturally aspirated big blocks and small blocks.
And what's like a race go for in that?
So you're running anywhere from a half an hour to a 1 hour long.
And that's just full noise or thereabouts?
Depending on the conditions on the day and the water and stuff like that, but it's
wow.
In the smaller engine classes, then you're obviously holding it flat in the boards.
Yeah.
Bigger twin turbo stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's coming down to the skier as such.
Can you ski?
I used to ski. Yeah. So,
and you get behind those things?
Yeah. So I learned to ski. My parents taught me how to ski when I was 4.
Yep.
I did my first race when I was 5.
Jesus.
And then I ran through till I was 23 and I got married that year. I said I'll have a year off and come back. And never went back.
Sure. Any big crashes?
Yeah, of late there's been a lot. I never had really anything. I watched my brother have a big fall next to me. And we're doing about 95 mile an hour, so like 150 Ks.
What would that feel like hitting the water at that speed?
Like a brick wall, man. So he hit a submerged tree underneath the water. Cartwheeled, overtook me doing cartwheels.
Holy.
Done his AC joint. His, to date now, his shoulder is still dropped down. He came out of it all right. A lot of people lost the use of their arm from accidents.
Wow. Mate, he did well to get out of it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I still remember when he fell, my dad's like, "You'll be right, let's get up and go again." And he's standing there with his shoulder 2 inches down. And then another boat came through afterwards and ripped the whole bottom of the gearbox off the outboard. Because of that? Because of the same tree, yeah. So dad was like, "Yeah, I believe you now." So we carted him off to hospital. And
is there something they can do to stop that? Like they look through the water?
They scanned the water beforehand, but it was just a freak accident.
Yeah, sure.
So,
mate, favourite, I'm going to delve in pretty deep here pretty quickly. Favourite motorsport for you to build an engine? What if someone comes to you and goes, "I want a Warspeed built deal, I'm doing this type of sport, like motorsport," what do you go, fuck, I'll froth that?
Now, after this season, I'd say off-road. It's a pretty unknown sport in Australia by standards. I went to Perth 2 weeks ago with a team that we're doing some work for and got to see the punishment they go through. Watched it from the helicopter and stuff, and it was pretty bad.
You did send me some videos of that actually, and that was probably the best seat in the house, apart from being in the car. Do you get to jump in them and go for a lap or not interested?
Haven't yet.
Would you?
If you're watching, we will.
Sorry, give them a plug.
So the boys they own a couple of mines out west, and they've got a test track there. So we will at some stage in 2025 shoot up and
will you drive one or just passenger?
I don't think I'd drive one. I can't afford to repair it. But
what's the go with them? Like they're just basically a missile with big shocks.
Yeah, so they've got a capacity of either 3.5 litre forced induction or 7 litre naturally aspirated.
Yeah, right. And obviously they run a Warspeed built deal.
So we converted them from one had a basic LS in it. We converted it to a 7 litre big dollar package. And then the other one had a US built small block Chevy in it. We pulled that out and we put a 7 litre LS into it.
Dry sump, wet sump.
Dry sump, all the velocity stack injection on the whole lot, top of the range stuff.
To get into that type of sport, like what would something like that, like buggy, your combo, what would people be looking at? Just ballpark.
Man, they're spending nearly $1 million on a roller now, plus engine stuff to be right at the front. You'll get into a Can-Man, like the smaller Can-Man class, which I shouldn't say smaller car, bigger fields. So a huge amount of cars in the Can-Am class, and they're probably 100 for a new package, I guess. With a 3-cylinder turbo engine in them, and they're fast, real fast.
What sort of mile an hour would they do?
They'll do 145, like in a standard form. If they hot those things up, they'll do 170. Our extreme 2-wheel drive ones we're doing, they're seeing well over 200. Out in the bush.
And on dirt or sand?
On dirt, and holding it for sometimes minutes at a time, which an engine builder doesn't want to know the data, but
But I guess it's cool to watch.
100%, it was an eye-opener to go over there and see how brutal that sport is and know where you had to move forward to do some changes.
For your program.
What you think's not going to break will break. It's going to break bolts, it's going to break things.
Is that just because of everything getting
smashed? They're jumping and putting their foot down mid-air and trying to take off and go. They're not going to come in a corner and slow down and take it easy over the jump. They're going to nail that jump.
I love watching that shit.
Yeah,
Like, you see the suspension doing this, and you're just like, fuck,
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty
big
cool.
balls.
Yeah.
Now, you've built how many engines over the years, do you reckon? If
Thousands.
you could, yeah, sure.
Thousands, yeah. We were averaging, I'm a one-man shop.
Yeah.
We were averaging at times usually 50 to 60 brand new builds.
Yeah.
Plus there's going to be refreshes and time through that as well.
Yeah.
So
I quite like watching, every now and then you'll go quiet for a bit on the socials, and all of a sudden you'll pop up 10 engines here, and then it's like engine porn. You're like, fuck, that one's tough, that one's tough.
Yeah.
And then you see, especially I'm from Queensland, obviously, half the boys up there are running a Warspeed built deal.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's just reliability, right?
yeah, it's been a good eye-opener. If someone had told me this was going to happen back in 2015-16 when we opened the doors,
Yeah.
I started my shop in my father's complex.
Yeah.
I was working engine shop and I moved on from there.
Yeah.
And I rung Dad and said, hey, can I have a little corner of your workshop?
Yeah.
Dad being Dad, was like, yeah, no problems. And I said I might have 4 or 5 engines on the go at any one time.
Yeah.
And within the first 12 months, it was moved up to 20 to 30.
Yeah.
So then we moved out of there because I
Yeah.
knew Dad had been there for sort of 40 years and he knew where every nut, bolt, crack in the shop was.
Yeah.
So I sort of didn't want to tarnish the relationship with my father, so I've got to get in my own shop.
Yeah.
And now we're running on anywhere from 50 to 70 engines at a time.
Wow.
So.
And 2015, that's when you went out on your own. What were you doing before that?
So I started in the trade in 95.
Yep.
My father's had a mechanical shop he's retired now, but he'd had a mechanical shop for as long as I've been alive.
So you just basically been around it, immersed in it?
Yeah, being around ski racing, being around my dad,
Yeah.
and then I said, Dad, I used to go to work with Dad every Saturday, and I'm
Yeah.
like, love engines, love stuff, don't want to touch a car.
Yeah, sure.
Don't want to see, I used to see Dad do brakes on the car and then have a diff noise and they'd complain. And it's just something that you had nothing to do with, but I love the engine. So Dad said to me, become an engine reconditioner, learn the machining side of things, all that. So
you do a lot of that in-house?
So I don't do so much machining nowadays.
Yep.
I've slowed it down.
Yep.
It's hard being one man.
Of course.
So I've got 4 or 5 different businesses that we have a good relationship with
Yep.
that do my machining for me.
Yep.
We can obviously measure it, check it when it comes back.
Yep, sure.
But yeah, when I first started the trade, my boss told me at the time, if you can machine an engine, you can build an engine.
Sure.
But not necessarily can you build an engine if you don't know how to machine it, because you're going
Copy.
to learn your measuring fundamentals from machining
Yep.
rather than the assembly.
And how important is that to get right?
100%.
Yeah.
We spend hours measuring, checking,
Yeah.
make sure everything's right
Yeah.
before it goes together for the final time. Sometimes an engine might go together, 5 times before
Yeah.
you're like, I'm actually happy now.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the go for someone, if they're interested in getting a combo from you, how's the best way they go about it, to get in contact with you?
Yeah, give plenty of leeway.
How long are we talking? Like,
So we're done for this year.
Yeah.
We're done into next year.
You're
But
just saying
generally we run on, I tell everyone it's about a 16 to 20 week build period
Yeah.
from data deposit to the end of the job.
Yeah.
I say 20 at the worst case.
Yeah.
I try and like to finish everything off on 16.
Sure.
We're very structured in how we do things.
Yeah.
But sometimes we mightn't start that process, so they might ring us up. So we've been having people ring us since June this year.
Yeah.
Here you are in November, and I've been shutting everyone down since June because
Sure.
we were done for the year.
yeah, copy that.
And
And people are pretty good with that. Like,
most people, yeah, like unfortunately sometimes people will leave their process late.
Yeah.
But most people now know how it works with us.
Yeah.
We do a lot of work for trade shops, for other performance shops that don't build in-house.
Yeah.
So they know to say, all right, we need an engine, we're going to need it for 6 months time.
Yeah.
Make sure it's ready.
Yeah, sure.
So it works out well.
and for you, like, is there a particular engine you like working on the most? Like, would you say LS1?
LS.
Yeah. Oh, is it LS?
Anything
Yeah.
LS? Yeah. Nah, I would say if you were talking in an OEM state, your 6-litre LS is a stronger engine
Yeah.
you get. It's better than a 5.7. Your 6.2s potentially have problems with splitting bores and stuff,
Yeah.
and dropping inserts and valves. So your 6-litre is the best engine for a factory engine.
Sure.
Jump out of that, get into your higher end engine. I'm a massive fan of building 427 with a Harrop 2650 on.
Sure.
That's
Why?
my go-to.
What's so good about it? Like, they look cool, they
Man.
sound cool. What's the appeal for you?
You're making 1,000 on tap. It's under the bonnet.
Yeah.
I firmly believe a supercharged engine is more presentable than a turbo engine, especially for a
Really?
street car.
Okay.
You've got nothing against turbos.
Yeah.
But you've got pipes that are going to rust. There's heat.
true.
It's going to always eventually look not as nice as what you want it to.
What do you
if you
prefer?
drive it.
Of course. What
Yep.
do you prefer to drive? Blown or turbo?
I don't drive anything.
Okay.
I'm not one for
If
street.
you were biased either way, would
I'd
you?
have to have a blown car.
Okay,
You got maximum boost by $2.5 for Harrop blown deal. So
True.
yeah, let's be honest. If you're going to be a rat bag on the street, you're going to want to bake tyres and you're going to want to back off before the cops are seeing you.
True.
You got a turbo car, you're waiting for it to come on boost potentially, and then you're doing everything at a higher wheel speed.
Of course.
Whereas a Harrop blown thing, you nail it,
Yeah.
done your skid, you
Full
backed
party.
off, you turned around the corner, you're driving off normally, and the cops haven't seen you.
But just the tons of smoke pouring out the back.
Yeah, that's a bit of a giveaway.
Not
but yeah.
condoning any street skids here,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Mate, a piece of advice that you could give someone who wants to get into learning how to build engines, what would you say to them?
Learn, listen, and don't be scared to start at the bottom.
Yeah,
You
true.
don't come to the top straight up.
Yeah.
man, I'm one-man shop, so I'm still sweeping the floors and cleaning the toilet.
Amen.
You have to start at the bottom.
Yeah.
You have to learn, you have to get dirty, and you're not going to put an engine. Man, when I started, I worked at a machine shop for 12 years in my first job.
Yep.
I did not build an engine in 12 years.
Yeah, right.
I was on the machine shop for 12 years. The only engine I built in those 12 years was my own little Toyota engine when I was an apprentice.
Yep.
I was not allowed to build engines there.
That thing is pretty badass, but
Oh, it's definitely,
Can we get a photo or video? You would have some.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and load up a couple of videos of this thing, and it's made. What did it make?
So far we've made 180 horsepower at the wheels
Yeah.
out of an engine that makes 45 from the factory.
Sick.
It's like
And
I
it
said,
revs
just
quite
got reg. Well, it was revving to 94.
Yeah.
The new combo is in now, and I'm hoping for 10,200 horsepower at the wheels. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you'll drive it on the street every now and then. Your young fella drive it?
Well, he doesn't drive manual yet, but that's the plan. I'll teach him how to drive manual. He's going to learn real quick with a button billet clutch. He's going to learn how to.
I guess that's a good way to learn, but
Yeah. It's.
Now, what would you do if someone said to you, hey, look, I need to get an engine, I want this, I've got all these eBay parts, this and that coming together. Would you just say, look, man, what's the go? Or you just go, I want to do everything my way?
Yeah, unfortunately we don't. Everyone knows now there's no warranty in the performance industry.
Yeah.
The part suppliers aren't going to warrant their part.
Yeah.
It's very hard for us to warrant it.
Sure.
We'll warrant what we do. So if I left those bolts undone,
Yeah.
that's on me.
Totally.
If it breaks a push rod or it breaks a piston or something like that, there's too many things to say, hey, that's our fault. We'll work with a customer.
Yeah.
I won't generally start an engine if someone supplied their own parts.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the profit to be made from it.
Yeah.
It's because we have such good relationships with all the brands we use,
Yeah.
and we know that, okay, this certain piston, the brand we're using, we know that calls for 5 thou clearance.
Yeah.
We give that piston 7.
Sure.
So we know what that's going to take. If we start working with an unfamiliar brand,
Yeah.
and we don't know what that needs,
Yeah.
then I'm responsible for using someone's part
Yeah.
that we're not confident in using.
Of course. And obviously, if something goes wrong, it automatically comes back on you.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's always the engine builder's fault.
Yeah, of
Bro,
course.
blows the tail light, it's my fault.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it was a diff noise when you changed the brakes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What are like your thoughts there on obviously performance shops? They get a bit of a bad rap, like you hear all these horror stories. Someone goes here, then they go here. Like, is that just the nature of the business, or people just don't want to own up for their stuff? Or
It's hard. It's very hard with problems, and I'm going to say it's very hard. As much as it's a necessary evil, social media makes problems even worse.
Totally.
We
Amplifies.
need social media for a business
Yeah.
point of perspective, and it gets you such a big audience,
Yeah.
and you can get work that you would never have received before.
Sure.
But it also, people tend to jump to social media
Yeah.
to voice an opinion that really didn't need to be voiced.
Yeah, sure.
So work with a shop. Things don't go wrong. We're all human.
totally.
So I might do things wrong. Ring me up and say, hey man, this engine's got a problem.
Yeah.
Bring it back to me, we'll look at it. If you work with a shop and the two of you have respect, the customer and the shop has respect for each other, you're going to get to the bottom of the problem real quick.
Well, at the end of the day, all you want to do is get the best result.
Yeah,
right?
like, we can't help problems.
Yeah.
Things break, things go wrong.
Yeah.
I've stuffed up, other shops have stuffed up.
everyone's human.
We all have our issues, but it's how you can resolve that issue.
Sure.
And working with the shop. Don't just go from one shop to the next shop to the next shop, because as quick as they've come to you, they're going to go somewhere else.
Of course.
And man, there's been times I've had to ring customers and say, hey, listen, I actually need to come and do something. I need to check something.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% quite sure whether that was right.
Yeah,
Or we've got, an inferior product that we've been made aware of.
Yeah.
Can we recall it?
Yeah.
Get it back?
Yeah.
If you
Which happens from time to time.
Oh, it's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want problems, because if it's an inferior product that we've been supplied and then it's got a problem, we're not making money on that job.
Totally.
You're doing it for free.
Yeah.
But you're trying to catch it before it's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So you're trying to work with them. But if you're a shop hunter and you're jumping from shop to shop,
Yeah.
you're not going to get that service back from a shop.
Yeah, and you don't have that rapport built with the.
No, that's right.
Old Shawnee Dixon, well, I
Yep.
had him on the other day, and he was saying the level of customer service that you go above and beyond to try obviously keep his shit running.
Yep.
Turbo guy.
Yeah.
Big
Yep.
turbo. Love
100%.
it.
Yeah.
And man's got rubber arms. Like we said to him, man, look, don't need to do a burner. He's like, we're bringing skid tyres down. We're doing about. Man, the thing was fucking swinging on it. So that's a cool car.
It's a real cool car. Yeah.
Just
I like that shape of car. It just works. Yeah.
Now, mate, there's some engines behind us here. What's the go with some of these deals? Tell us about this one here, because it's right in the middle. What's the go with that?
So this is for a guy in Melbourne, Nick.
Yeah.
Nick's got a lot of cars. You'd probably
Sure.
know the silver VF FU Barra.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
does
he
big
owns,
wheelies.
Yep.
Sure.
He owns that. He owns another car, Wet 333, that we built for someone else, and he
Yep.
bought that.
Yep.
Got a heap of cars. So we've got a fair few engines on the go for Nick at the moment.
Yep.
So it's a 424 cube.
Yep.
Solid roller, LS7 headed with a
Yep.
Magnuson 2650 on it.
Yep.
It's been in here a while.
Yep. What's that going to go in?
It's going into the VF.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. We've robbed parts of it at times when he's needed it for one of the other cars to get him going. So
Yep.
but we just spent some time finishing off. We're waiting for some custom stuff to be done for it.
Yep.
Plumbed it for nitrous this week, so we've done all the nitrous jets in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll once he gets me back the pulley he stole off it a couple of weeks ago, we'll
and
send it.
something like this, horsepower wise, what would you expect out of that?
I'd like to see 1300 to the tyre plus the nitrous. So,
and how much shot would you put in it?
probably gonna put a 300 shot in it.
Wow.
So
And obviously that'd be in the drag VF or what's?
it'll go in the silver one, which he
Is that a street car or what is that?
It's street. Everything's a street car.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I feel like if you've got balls enough to drive it on the street, it's
Top
a street
fuel
car.
a street car if you play it right.
In America, you can pretty much, can't you?
So it will run 7s. That's the plan, to run a 7 with that car.
In a big bodied car.
Yeah. He's got 80,
VFs.
830 or something now, 820 somewhere
So
around there.
VFs have gone into the 7s, haven't they?
Yeah. So there is a blown one that's gone faster maybe. There's some turbo ones that have got 7s.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Matt Whiting's obviously that with the turbo engine we've done years. VF, whatever it is. They're all the same.
Same.
Yeah. So but yeah, his has gone 820, 830, but this will push it.
And you're doing a deal for old Matty, speaking of at the moment, hey?
Matt, so Matt's new engine's out there, so we're building him a new 388 turbo deal.
Matty, I'm bringing it back. If you're watching this, he said we're going to bring it back. So we'll get it in before Christmas time, mate. You heard it here first. I was actually on the phone to him the other day. We're having a bit of a yarn. I said I'm coming down to see you. And we'll get that engine, mate. We'll bring it back. That'll be a cool car when he's done.
Yeah. So it started life as a Dart short motor that he obviously got through work.
Sure.
And then we pulled it apart and changed some stuff around. We're deleting water out of it. So we've had, I've solid grouted it, fire ringing it now, and then we've had.
And why do you do that? Like, what's the benefit for you? Just obviously being able to rev it and turn it right
No
up.
head gaskets to leak.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you find that's a thing with some of these LSs to be a problem?
There is some areas that it can leak. They can all leak, especially when you're trying to lean on something as hard as, say, take Cam Riley's car. We're trying to lean on a little LS against guys with Pro lines or Hemis or that have got no water jackets to worry about. They're a billet block, billet head. We're trying to do it with a cast block, cast head.
I was having this conversation with someone the other day and talking about Cam's car. You've got that on a 235 LS. Then you've got Scotty Cortina with the big donk in that, which is blown. And then you've got O'Carroll on the 235 with the big nitrous steel. There's so many variables there. But
100%.
Man, for what he's doing with the small cube thing against them guys, that's incredible.
Yeah. So we've pulled water out of his now. Not that his was an issue with water, but it was more weight. Because the radiator.
He lost all the weight out of the window the other day.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. But his radiator was in the back of the car.
Yeah.
And they needed to scale the car differently to get rid of weight over the rear of the tyre.
Yeah.
So by the time he could pull radiator, lines, water pump, all that stuff out of there, it meant he got rid of the weight over the back of the car. Sure. Not a street car now, but it's a race car.
Well,
Let's be honest, you're never going to drive it on the street.
Nah, I mean, you
could, just not far.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like that's a car that's like at the top of the moment. Like everyone's like trying to chase that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a cool car, and it's been a good learning curve and a good transition time, because that car was never meant to be what it is.
Sure.
The engine was never meant to be what it was.
Yeah.
So
and how closely do you work with guys like Cam and then the guys that love their drag racing?
Yeah, Cam's a flop, but nah. Cam's a good mate of mine. He knows I call him a flop all the time.
I see the banter online, and it's like, I like to have a good laugh here and there. Obviously, there's a lot of banter. So.
Yeah, so Cam's I call him Clayton. He's like my mate Clayton. Sure. So yeah, he's a good dude. He's very thorough, and
I guess you have to be at that level.
He gets it. He understands what it takes to go fast, and he's pretty switched on running his own business now on a side hustle.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got some good ideas.
Yeah.
And he can mechanically do things himself, which is good.
Perfect.
So he's come down here. So the engine, we done a refresh on it just before the last event.
Yeah.
And I actually made him put it together. So he came down and spent 2 days here.
Oh, good.
I oversaw it, but I let him build the engine.
Yeah.
Told him what to do, so that if I'm not there, and he's in Queensland, he's got to do something. He's actually mechanically can do it.
Yeah. Sure.
Rather than saying, "Hey, what do I do?" So these things are going to break.
That's one thing first to put my hand up, I'm terrible at. Like, I'm not mechanically minded. I know little bits and pieces, but when you see all these boys at the track swinging spanners, you're like, I wish I knew what was going on there. Like, I can do a little bit, but I feel like as you learn, or as I start to learn, I want to be able to get in there and do more of that, so then you're not relying on anyone.
100%. You're racing.
Yeah.
Your team's, as much as they're with you, you're the one racing. So you can't just put your helmet aside and walk off and Hollywood it and wave to everyone. You got to swing spanners, and then in between rounds or in between events, you can then do more yourself, and you learn more about
and
the car.
understand what the engine's doing.
Yeah, and then you can pick up on if it's a problem. You go, oh, I can feel something, I can hear something.
Yeah.
You will start to learn what that noise could be coming from or why it's doing something.
Yeah.
So then you can fix it yourself.
What's your ideal customer? Like, someone comes in, they just open checkbook. Like, do you sort of have a budget in mind? What's like a process for them if they come in and say, well, if I want to build a car?
It's not always about money.
Yeah.
We turn away more jobs than we take on now.
Yeah.
It's got to be a good fit for everyone.
Yeah.
We need to work. We all need to work together. We all got to share a common goal of where they want to be.
Yep.
So generally I can get 10 to 20 messages a day on social media, or especially if we put a story up. How much is that?
Yeah, of course.
Someone doesn't know what that is looking at it.
Yeah.
And a lot of time they're never going to go anywhere with inquiring. That's not being rude to them, but it's hard to give a price on something when someone doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, of course.
The general inquiry will be a phone call. So if someone rings me, I know they're serious.
Yeah, sure.
If they're asking online, it's not always serious. Sometimes it can be, but I will send back something with a copy and paste message I've got. Hi, blah, blah, blah. Can you please tell me? Car, chassis, fuel, tuner, trans, all these sorts of stuff. Your budget you think you're working with, or that you've got available, and things like that. 9 times out of 10, they won't reply to it.
Right.
Because they just wanted a price to tell Barry down the pub that they're going to get an engine.
Right. I was chatting to Warspeed the other day, he said this.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
If they can provide me those answers back, then we can continue further. Because I've got to know what they want. Like I need to know you want to make 1,000. Do you need to make 1,000? Probably not. Do you have the car that's going to make 1,000? Do you have a tuner that I've worked with before? If you haven't, then that's okay, but we need to establish relationships so everyone's on the same page. Who's your fab shop? What's going on? Because there's no point me building someone a 1,000 horsepower engine and it's in a car that's got a transmission capable of 400 horsepower and the exhaust isn't right and the fuel system's wrong and then it fails and it comes back, oh, that engine blew up. So I like to be as open as possible with them. So having a customer that's open is the best thing.
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't always come down to money. It comes down to being open and having a good circle that we're all going to work together.
Yeah, sure. Most recent issue, Street Machines. Another Warspeed.
How
many covers have you got?
We've had a few over time. Yeah. Steve's car is a real cool car.
That's immaculate.
And a long history. So I done Steve an engine back in 2016. He was one of my first customers through a fab shop down here. And the initial plan was an aspirated small block Chev. And we built that, we dynoed it. He wanted 650, and I think at the time I made 656. The single carburetor that had to fit under the bonnet of the LJ. Done that, and then car got parked up, life took over, things changed, fab shop shut down, and then rebooted it, and it was good. Like, I love repeat customers. Like, if I can have a customer come back to me, they'll feel like we've done the right job the first time.
Yeah, of course.
So when he came back and said, this is a new plan, and we built that one a long time ago. Like,
of course.
That was one of
and it's obviously reliable.
Yeah, it was one of our first sort of Harriet combos we'd started doing. And it was, we had a goal of making 1,000. It made 1,043 as you would drive it on the street. It's
and blown.
It's cool, and it's under bonnet. It fitted his criteria still of what he wanted to do, and the crew around it was, I still had Con from Wollongong tuning it. The boys exclusive painted it. Spot On was still working on it. So it's a circle that we already had established.
Totally.
They're all still working on it.
I feel the boys at Spot On, they're killing it. Every car that comes out of there, you're just like, fuck, that is amazing. And you look at the next one, you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then they're over in America. Well, they're probably back now, but killing it over there.
So
Incredible.
they're good boys to deal with. We sell a lot of parts. With the motion stuff and things like that.
Speaking of, mate, I bought some stuff off you a while ago, and I was stoked to get the parts, but I was even more stoked. I got the bottle opener. Mate, it's like the free shirt you get when you buy something. I'm like, mate, that's fucking great. So good. Mate, ECUs. Have you got a favourite?
I would say for ease, you're going to say Haltech because their customer service is great. They're a local company. If I had my pick and I was starting from nothing, I would have Mtron on. Mtron flies under the radar a little bit, but
Kiwi-based company, I think?
New South Wales, just 10 minutes down the road.
How
good. Very smart company. Very, very well established business.
There's a few cars up in roll racing. We were up there last week and having a yarn to them, and they're all running Mtron, and they swear by it. So Scott that owns the company is a very, very smart guy. There's a very good tuner up in Queensland that does a lot of them, Sean. And then Sean, Ram.
Ramsdale. So they're around everywhere. But very, very good company to deal with. Let's say I've got great relations with Haltech. With all of them, sort of thing. So, but they would be my two. I don't touch ECUs. I used to years ago. I used to sit in the boats and tune them, and then I went, nah, I need to stop this. So,
would it help your business or hinder it in a way of knowing what's going on that tune side as to what you're building? Or
I mean, I still obviously speak to all the tuners that do stuff for them. We look at data. But it's what would take me an hour would take a tuner 10 minutes.
So it's just saving time.
So I used to do a lot of it. I used to do ski race boats. I used to sit backwards. You get scared sitting in a boat because you had nothing to hang on to. You were sitting like we're sitting now with a race jacket on, with a helmet and a laptop sitting on your lap. You can't hold on because the only thing you're holding on is your feet against a footrest.
Fuck that.
So it was quite scary at 100 to, I think the fastest we went was like 140 mile an hour.
And especially the wind hitting you, it would feel a lot faster.
You've got a turbo motor that's just there. And if it's on dusk at 5 o'clock, you can nearly see straight through the turbos because they're glowing red. So I went...
It would sound pretty good.
It was good, but I'm like, I'm out. I had a friend of mine that passed away tuning a boat.
Yep.
So I was like, I'm done, I'm out.
So I feel like it's a calculated risk at the end of the day.
Yeah, anything boat related, I get Dale from Castleville. He used to be tuned by Dale. Say, hey Dale, jump the boat and tune it.
He's always traveling the world too.
Yeah, he's doing something. Yeah, he's been around a long time. He's done all sorts
Another
of stuff.
Haltech man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Now, you're going over to America, or you're sending some engines over there?
Yeah, so I'm going to America in a couple of weeks for a holiday with the family.
Yep.
But I'm also, I was over there partway through the year putting an engine together.
Yep.
So we built an engine for one of the boys here in Australia.
Yep.
And I'd done a few events, and then when it went over there, it hung an injector open because the fuel system had some issues and sitting in a container for 3 months.
Sure.
The alcohol ate into an injector and hung it and hydraulicked it and bent a rod. So we flew over there, done a quick 4-day rebuild on an engine.
LS?
LS, yep. So did that, and then that's obviously I've had 4 or 5 cars over there this year with our engines. I've been doing some real high-profile stuff. That's led to some clients over there in America now wanting to jump on board.
I've been watching a lot of that stuff online. The burnout guys are cutting sick.
Yeah, they're having a good time. There's some real good, good people over there. So we're gonna do a bit of a FIFO program and fly in, fly out. So we're working with a few machine shops over there now, parts suppliers.
Obviously, they're familiar with what you do. They want to start buying more stuff from you. What's the objective out of that?
The clients just, I think we've got our blown packages somewhat dialed in.
Sure.
You're still going to have failures. There's no question about that.
I feel like in Australia, it's who wants to get an LS built, or where do you want to get an LS built? Like, it's Warspeed. It's the first place people think to go to.
Yeah. It's it was, the business never meant to go that direction. It was always just been an engine shop, but it sort of fell down that path, and I've let it go down that path.
Sure.
My stock control was all about LS. I can sit there and I can build an engine. I can think, what am I going to make? What am I going to do? If you're trying to look at 20 different engines in a week, you can't think like that.
Sure.
But for me, I can sit there and go, okay, we could improve this. But also, even when I'm building it, I can go, I need to do this, and this before I bring it in the room.
Copy.
If I was doing so many different engines, like I said before, sometimes I go together 4 or 5 times because you're bringing oh crap, I've got to do this, or I've got to modify that. The LS program, I can go, have it out there, it's back from machining, and I go, okay, I know I've got to modify that, I've got to tap that, I've got to drill there, and I've got to do this. And it comes to the room, it doesn't leave the room.
How, obviously you get your Dart SHP blocks and the LSNX and all that. When they come to you, like bare, how much fucking around have you got to do with some of those?
So generally, you're obviously doing your bores, your decks, your tunnels, your lifter bores. With a Dart block, we're modifying crank angle sensor, we're drilling, tapping all the holes deeper, we're modifying for an alternator to fit. Depending on what starter motor, we're grinding the side of the block for starter motor to fit.
So there's a fair process.
There's a fair amount of work that goes into it.
And why do they do that? Is it just because they're just pumping them out and you've got to then do all the finer stuff?
I don't know why they haven't done anything about the crank angle sensor. That's a big one.
That's pretty important.
Yeah, it's got a lot larger air gap than what it should. And it's a common problem that's been around for a long time.
Do they work with engine builders, or they just?
Yeah, I think they do, but I don't know. I don't even know.
Okay.
All I know is I've got to sit out there and modify it before it comes in here.
Sure.
Alternator doesn't fit, but I think that's because in America they don't actually have an alternator sitting down here low like we run.
Right.
All alternators basically are high mounted stuff. So hence why when you used to play around with, say, old LY6 blocks or truck block, that bolt hole there is not even tapped from the factory because the alternator's up high on the other side. So we obviously do our low mount alternator kit that we sell, and it clips into there, but anything Australia related, you've got to clear the block there to get the alternator to fit. To them, it's not an issue because they don't run alternators there.
Of course. And they don't really care.
For us, it's a big issue. So, and especially for us now, like our alternator brackets, we send anywhere from 20 to 50 alternator brackets a month to America. So then they're now not fitting over there as well.
So they're obviously slowly doing more of what you're trying to do here?
I mean, our alternator bracket was something that we designed. It's like what's on that one behind you. It was when you're only running basically an alternator only. So it's common over there now, especially on builds where they don't want the alternator up high because they've got turbo manifolds and stuff. Ours clips down low into the factory position.
I think it looks neater.
It's just, and it's simple. You know, it works. So
And the cars over there that you're going over to do stuff for, burnout cars, street cars.
2 burnout cars early next year.
Blown alcohol deals.
Big blown 427, 1071. EFI type deals. They both will end up with Haltech on it. So Matt will be involved in that process as well.
He'll fly over there, no doubt. I'm pretty sure he's got his own boat and a plane now.
He's got his own private.
Mr. Hollywood. Speaking of burnout cars, went down to the Brash and Nats deal. Man, as I was saying to you before, I've never seen cars just, I feel like they just go, the guy goes go, they go foot down, top gear, and it's just limiter.
I hate limiter. I like trying to educate my guys.
As an engine builder,
As an engine builder, it's bad. It's bad on valve train. So we're always trying to educate them to stay off it. It's super bad for valve train. LSs get this whole, they just all sound the same because they're on limiter. But if you drive it right, it won't be.
Sure.
It will get to limiter quicker than any other engine.
Yeah.
Because the valve train and the firing order, everything's ideal.
Okay.
So I say it to guys all the time. If you listen to a 308, it sounds like you've gone to a Metallica concert. Whereas if you listen to an LS, it's like the symphony orchestra.
Sure.
So everything's working in harmony, everything gets there a lot quicker. A 308 sounds as grumpy and angry as hell.
Yeah.
But the firing order is so wrong that everything's just fighting against each other.
Right.
So that's why an LS will respond with RPM and get there quicker.
Yeah.
But the driver then needs to learn how to then get off it and bring it back. Reducing the hat area helps with that because you've got three or four throttle blades open.
Yeah.
You've got square area that's going to feed 10,000 horsepower in a top fuel car.
Sure.
And you've got your 800 to 1200 horsepower LS with enough air there to supply a family for a week.
Yeah. Sure.
So we're now, we always have been, but we're reducing that down and trying to run them only on one butterfly.
Is that just to stop the butterflies from opening up so much?
Not opening, but we're just not even using two of them.
Wow.
So if it's a three-hole hat, block them off and run one.
Yeah, wow.
One is enough.
Okay.
So it'll support it enough, and then you've got throttle control.
Yeah.
If they don't have that, it's harder to then control that throttle because that little bit of movement's letting a lot more air in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And speaking of family, let's change direction a bit here. You're off to do some push bike riding? It's a passion of yours?
Yeah, so Threadbow season opens tomorrow.
Yeah, beautiful.
I have to watch my daughter's grand final dancing, which I'm excited to watch that.
Is she better than that ray gun?
Yes, I don't think that's hard.
I think I'm better.
She can actually dance, Ray gun and I are probably equivalent.
After a few beers?
Yeah. So I'll watch her do a grand final, then we'll jump in the van and head to Threadbow, be there for opening
And
weekend.
you've done that everywhere, like you've gone around Australia, you've done overseas.
So Threadbow's our common one. Threadbow's the only park, it's the only chairlift assisted park in Australia.
Yeah. So what do you just chuck the treadly on the back?
Hook it on the back, so they either, there's three different chairlifts, one will go on the back, another one will go onto a separate chairlift on its own, or there's a gondola down there, catch it to the top, ride all the way down, go straight back up and
That's
do it
sick. You
again.
don't have to push it up the hill.
Nothing.
Perfect.
So that's why it's good. So you can get a lot of kilometres. We'll generally do 70k in a day. 50k, that's riding. 20k is your uplift. But it's.
And how hard going is it?
It's as hard as you want to be, or it's as easy as you want to be.
Yeah. And the whole family get into it?
Just me and my son.
Yeah.
So
and what do the girls do?
go dancing and
Perfect.
enjoy not having the boys in the house.
Sure. Bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So.
Now, coming up to the end of 2024, man, what's to go? You're saying you're shutting down a little bit now, but what's on the plan for you? On the
we've got a couple more engines to get finished, and then we will be closed for a little bit, and then we'll be going away for a little bit as well.
And 2025, what's that look like for you?
2025 is big. Obviously, SuperUte program is...
But you were saying before, you got 24 engines in that.
24, so the capacity is 24 at any one time.
Yeah.
So they can't actually run any more cars on the track than 24. It's track density, which is like a franchise. So that keeps people coming back. If they start the season, they don't do well, then they might disappear through the year.
So if someone wants to get into that program, there's already 24 cars on it. Like, if I want to say open up my own team, how would I go about that?
Yeah, you got to wait for your spot to become available.
And I assume that'd be red hot.
Yeah, it's we're getting some real high profile teams, sponsors in there now. We started that. Well, they rebirths the series after they pulled the diesels out in 2021.
Best thing they could have done.
100%. So we started working on that program in the background in 2020 with them. Probably 2019, and we actually done development work on two old Brute Utes before we done the Super Utes.
Sure.
So we done a whole season of racing in an open category with two Brute Utes, and they got 1 and 2 in the series.
Beautiful.
And that was basically testing the program to what we wanted to do for the Super Utes.
Okay.
And then from there on in, we got into that.
Yeah.
The first round was at the Bend in 2021, had 13 cars, which was cool, but it was also only 13 cars. Now knowing that there's 24 on the grid at every race, it's big. It's
a lot of hype.
Oh, it's huge, And the racing it's rough, it's fast. There's some real capable drivers in there. There's some high profile drivers, or guys that have got sponsors from other areas.
Is it like a development series? Like people move into that before they go into the potentially other stuff, or different again?
It's probably different. There's I wouldn't probably say a development series, but I reckon it's got potential to become that way. The bonus of it is that guys are liking it. It's H pattern box.
Sure.
It's
what's gearbox are in those things?
T6060.
Yeah, right. Okay. And no special fruit in it, just
good clutches in and stuff. So the trucks are very well built. So they're all 9-inch in the back and cantilever suspension and everything. They're all locked in ECUs from Haltech. So the ECU is touched, you can't do it. Haltech supplied data guys on the weekend for it.
And they can just log in and check everything, make sure.
So there's always some data engineers running around the whole time doing everything. Obviously then we've got, the engine program is pretty dialed for that. The power.
And you were saying before pro maintenance program on them is pretty low.
Yeah. So the power levels are all the same. The maintenance side of things, generally, I think I've seen 2, maybe 3 engines this year.
Yeah.
So there's some cars out there still running that are potentially 4 years old.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
So
for when you think of race car, you think, man, it's like almost every pass, some of these things are getting torn down. That's 3 years.
100%, yeah. So it's been good for that, and it's good for that has then opened up other avenues for the business to go, okay, those packages are quite reliable.
Yeah.
I want to engage this guy to do something for my area of sport, not necessarily for the SuperUtes, but for other areas.
Yeah, of course. So, and people would go, hey man, I saw that ute, it sounded good, and okay, that was that package, I can give you that.
Yeah, 100%, cool. Yeah.
Mate, let's move away a little bit here. Piece of advice you could give yourself 5 years ago today.
Let the business go where it wants to go.
Right.
As weird as that sounds, I can't control the business.
Yeah.
The business is governed by what's going on at the time.
Yeah, okay.
So if I try and lock that business to one direction, it may not work.
Like in terms of being like drag only or...
100%.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Where that avenue it goes to, you just got to let it go.
What would be your biggest, let's say, call it that avenue? Would it be the drag side? Would it be the street cars? What would be the biggest one for you? If you were to say
street cars is always going to be strong.
Yeah.
The racing side of things, I try and limit my numbers.
Yeah.
So
just because of the program, so
100%. I don't want to have 20 cars out there running on a weekend.
Yeah.
Because if there's potential problems or I've got to help someone out, that's 20 cars I've got to think about.
Yeah. And you're a one-man band.
100%.
Yeah.
So I want to have a couple of drag cars out there that are doing well.
Yeah.
Then the off-road season, I only want to have a couple of them out there.
Are the seasons the same or what's
pretty much? Yeah, it's
sure.
all at the same time because that's the way it is. So I don't want to chase one sport and have heaps in there. I'm happy just to have a couple here, a couple there, a couple there. Obviously the Super is a lot more than a couple.
Yeah.
And then your street cars and your power cruise type cars and stuff like that. Yeah. They'll always just roll on, because they're not as event based. Street car guy just wants to drive his car. So that's where we're happy to build like the nice NA deals or blown deals or whatever for a street car, and then just keep those racing in small. I'd rather have 3 doing really well than have 20 out there with a couple doing well and a couple and heaps not. So,
yeah, sure. And I guess if your name's always at the top, people will always be like, fuck, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that. Yeah. Now, speaking of cars, mate, 3, fuck you car, which I've called it, I've labelled it, a race car and a daily. What would they be?
Daily? Man.
Tough one. I feel like as a car person, it's hard to just label these into 1 or 2 cars because I don't know about you, but I know for me, like every day it changes.
Yeah. My van's pretty sick, to be quite honest.
Is that the one out the front?
Yeah. Only because I can hide my bikes in there and do stuff like that.
Sure.
It's easy. So, for what you're doing, sometimes I've got to go and pick a block up and race around.
Yeah.
It still fits the 5 of us in there, so I can pick the kids up. I can still have the bikes in the back, do that. I'm not one for speed on a street.
Sure.
I'm straight out. I had a fairly decent accident when I was 19.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot of life lessons.
Sure.
When you see...
Do you want to talk about that or...
Well, I put a little Corolla into a telegraph pole and bounced off straight into it. And
being silly?
Not so much, no.
Yeah.
Wet road, probably speeding a little bit.
Yeah. Car probably not equipped to handle wet road.
No, K30 Corolla.
Sure.
And just drove it straight into it, and basically the gearbox shifter was behind me.
Wow.
The engine was sitting next to me, and my mate that was in the car at the time was knocked out.
Yeah.
So there's nothing worse than looking over and seeing someone that you thought you had killed.
Yeah.
I still remember being in hospital. I was with my wife at the time. I was only young, and I had a neck brace on.
Fuck.
And the cops came in. My father-in-law came in.
Yeah.
My girlfriend / wife now was there.
Yeah. At that moment, what were you thinking?
Just smarten up.
Yeah.
So,
piece of advice you could give someone if they're out there thinking they can do that type of stuff, what would you say?
Take it to an event.
Yeah.
You can go to an event every weekend.
I feel like that's a good thing
somewhere, anywhere. Like, man, it's ironic. Like, my wife hates speed.
Yeah.
So my wife is a very sensible person.
Yeah.
And here I am building cars and stuff to go fast, but there is no reason you can't do it at an event.
I feel like there's that many events on,
100%.
I don't know, down here especially, but up in Queensland, there's something on every weekend.
Years ago, you couldn't do that, so you had to go somewhere to be a rat bag.
Yeah, totally.
And, don't get me wrong, even after that accident, I'm not going to say it wasn't a rat bag, but I definitely calmed myself down. Mates were still rat bags.
Yeah.
But I won't hop in a car with someone that's out of control.
Are you a bad passenger? Or are you just not a passenger?
Yeah, I got control issues. So
I guess that's why you run the shop on your own.
You're on my own, man. So it's just take it to an event.
Yeah.
You can go to Eastern Crete. You can go thrash it there. You can go to Power Cruise. You can go. There's Friday night burnout comps nearly every Friday night.
Yeah.
take it out there and do it off that.
Totally.
Don't do it on the street because, man...
Is there much of that going on in Sydney in terms of the illegal stuff?
Man, what I see down here lately is little gangsters thinking they're cartel dudes on their motorbikes driving around with no number plates, no nothing, putting a balaclava on.
I feel like that's happening everywhere.
I just want to drive into them. Yeah. I'm straight out.
Sure.
It annoys me.
But you might dip the van.
Yeah.
You could probably pile of 5 or 6 in the back of it,
but you're going down the highway if they're on their back wheel, and then they crash and they die. But he died doing what he loved.
Sure.
But But
now someone's seen that and then they're scarred.
It's just it's wrong. Like I just take it to an event. You want to go ride a motorbike? Ride at a complex. Go to a motorbike park.
Sure.
You want to drive your car fast? Go race at the track. Be a man. Do it.
That's one thing I will admit. Like, obviously, I've come from the street racing side of things, and you think, oh, that's fucking sick. You're going fast or whatever, but then you step onto the racetrack. And Andy said this to me, and I remember it like it was yesterday. He goes, man, wait till you let go of that button that first time. And now it's like, I still always have that soft spot for the street, but you can't compare the two. Drag racing is like the speed, everything. Yeah.
And it's controlled. You're in an environment. It's even, yes, I do a lot of mountain bike riding, but like I said, we're going to Thredbo because those tracks are maintained every day.
Sure.
Riding in the bush is good. But you don't know, you can come belting around a corner and, greenies have gone and ripped a tree down because they don't like you riding in the bush. So you come around a corner and you've got a tree right in front of you. At least on maintain stuff, the safety is there. Things are gonna go wrong.
But you can minimise the chance of something catastrophic.
You roll your car out on the road, no one knows. You roll it at the track, you've got support right there with you.
Literally. What did we say? What was the first car?
So it'd be my van.
That's right. Yeah. So that's a daily?
Yep.
LS powered or nothing? Just as it is?
Yeah, just leave it as
So
it
that's
is.
a daily race car if you were to choose or build or pick one?
Race car would be...
Any type of racing as well, could be absolutely anything.
Would be an Audi R8.
Oof.
I've had a soft spot for Audi R8s.
Sure. Twin turbo.
100%.
Any amount of horsepower.
Circuit race it.
Sure. Just fast. And then the fuck you car.
It would be my wagon, my Toyota Corolla wagon.
Sure.
But with an angry LS in it.
Something Warspeed built?
Stack injection out the bottom.
Oh.
Yep.
How hard are they to try tune with those?
Not so bad now. They're still fiddly. The ones we've been doing on late or off-road have got twin drive-by-wire motors in there.
Okay.
So that's got a little bit more control over it.
Yep.
For a street application, it's going to be harder.
Yep.
You need to make sure that you've got all the butterflies sucking at the same vacuum.
Sure.
That nearly becomes obsolete once you're racing at something that's held flat out all the time.
Of course.
So, it's a little bit of fiddly around, but once it's done, it's no stress.
Now, mate, where can people get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Facebook, Warspeed Industries. Instagram, Warspeed Industries. Email, my website. So a website set up with no engine packages on there because I don't believe in selling an engine package online.
Sure.
We need to work together. You
As
can't
you were saying before.
advertise an engine and say, hey, that's $75,000 and they don't know what they've got and you don't know what their expectations. They want an engine, they ring me.
Do you feel like there's a lot of shops that do that potentially? They sort of sell...
I want to be in contact. And I've told my customers, I will annoy you. Like Sean said, the customers are, I'm going to ring you on a Sunday after you've done a burnout comp to see how you went.
That's the best part.
I'm going to communicate with you. You're going to get the shits with me ringing you more than you ringing me.
But I feel like in that sense, even though it might be annoying, I don't think it'd ever be annoying, you're trying to look after your product.
100%.
Which is fucking great.
So, engines ring me, but obviously small parts, our website's quite strong for the small stuff.
What type of stuff do you sell on there? For people that might be watching this that aren't?
My branded stuff, so my alternator brackets, my rocket covers, my valley trays, the CHE trunnion kits we do. A little bit of the motion stuff, not a huge amount. I got more than what we list on there. Once again, one man's hard to think forward all the time. Our oil pickup brackets, just little stuff, sump stud kits, or just all the little quick
and all
stuff.
for LS stuff.
Guys,
so if you've got an LS, get on to the website, which is
Warspeed Industries.com.au.
I'll get that. We'll load it up underneath there. So
and then our merchandise is on there too. Our merchandise is very strong for us.
I
have to thank everyone that buys it, but sometimes we can be selling 30 or 40 shirts a week.
Do you have shirts here?
No, so every shirt we do is done to order.
Okay.
I used to get batches of shirts made, but I'm always thinking of new designs of shirts all the time. So my cousin does the shirts for me.
Yeah, right.
So they used to do artwork for me, which then turned and they were subletting the printing out, which then turned into them buying a business.
Sure.
So it's me supporting my cousin. So basically the orders will come through to our website. My wife runs that side of the business for me. She will then send it to my cousins. They'll make the shirts, they'll pack it, they'll send it. So all shirts generally, on a good week, will leave within 2 days.
Yep.
If we're having a busy week, it could be 5 days.
Yep.
But it's usually on average 2 to 5 days, shirts printed in a bag on its way to you.
I'm going to have a chat to you off camera here because I've literally just done a whole bunch of shirt designs. I want to get into something like that. So
then
yeah,
my cousin will be able to hook you up. Yeah, so
perfect. Yeah, just something that you don't have to worry about it. Just shop, click, 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 goes to someone.
Yeah, and I believe in keeping in my circle. So you can't get any closer than family for a circle. Yeah. They do good service. They make it for me. I can ring them and say, hey, I need. So I can still get merchandise sent here from them. Yeah. But I just don't hold any hats and stuff like that. I hold. Yeah. But the shirts, you know, because if I had shirts made from small to 2XL, a 3XL is going to ring up an order.
Of course.
If I get 4XL, then a 5XL is going to order.
That's what I noticed when I was done my first run of merch. It's like, oh, hey, you got any kid size? I'm like, I specifically said no kid sizes. Everyone wants what you don't have.
Yeah. So doing it that way, it definitely makes it a lot better. So
guys, get on there, buy a whole bunch of merch, buy a whole bunch of stuff for your LSs here. Can we have a quick walk around? Or show people what the goes? Let's have a quick squiz. Let's have a quick squiz. You've got a lot going on in here. So we've already spoken about the one in the middle there. What's this over here, mate?
So that's a 388 cube Dart combo 1071.
Yep.
We've just done a new engine for it, so that's out of a Tirana that did have some terminal damage.
Yep.
So we're doing a refresh on it now. It's a brand new bottom end, his old cylinder heads.
Yep.
And just getting that ready for someone at, so that'll leave next week.
Yep.
That's a new 400 cube deal going together. So 4125 bore with like a 3750 stroke, Magnum crank.
Beautiful.
Qualis CP pistons. So it'll be a street car deal in a Tirana twin turbo.
Yeah, nice, lovely.
So yeah, then there's a 400 cube as well, with a 2650 Harrop. That's got our new 130 Hellcat throttle body on it.
Lovely.
So we've done an adapter for that. So that's alloy rodded. That's like a max effort type deal.
That's the big fruit.
So that'll make, you know, probably 1200-ish to the tyre.
Wow.
Maybe it go up a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, it was originally built as a twin turbo deal, then the guy changed his plans partway through.
Yep.
So hence why we're only 400 cubes, where we'd normally be like 427.
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, it'll add some more boost. It'll probably make 3 or 4 pound more than what it would have being a 427.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, it'll be a cool thing. It's going into a VN Commodore.
Yep. So it's going into a VN, you're saying?
VN, yeah. And he's got a sister car to it that we've done a 2J for him in a VN as well. Yeah. Rock covers just sitting there ready to go. We obviously do a lot of rock covers for other shops as well.
Yep.
So my son comes in, we've got laser engraving upstairs, so he'll come in and do the laser. So, you know, they send us their number plate or their whatever, their wife's name or business name, put it on there. Couple machines down here, we strip engines out here.
Beautiful.
Cleaning area, ultrasonic stuff, and then I'll take you upstairs and show you some cylinder heads. So blocks all sort of waiting to go together.
You definitely are busy.
Yeah, there's always something to do. We put all our cylinder heads together up here and we hold a bit of our stock up here.
Yep.
So these are all brand new Higgins cylinder heads straight out of Melbourne. So Matt's heads, that's Matt Whiting's.
Yeah, Matty, get a look at that, mate.
Heads right there. Matt's is the first one, so we've just started doing O-ring gaskets now.
Yep.
Incorporating it, so it was something we asked Higgins to do a while ago and he took it on board and did it. So Matt's was the first cylinder head we've done with it.
Awesome.
So that'll be a standard feature in our packages now. It's an option for him, but it'll be a standard feature in what we do now.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's a set laid out, ready to go together. So valves are all sitting there, springs, and then
it's a pretty well oiled machine, eh? Like, you know,
it's easier when it's only one person.
Sure.
I'm not tripping over anyone.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm only tripping over myself, no one else. So,
yep.
We've got a lot of Sean's stock here, so that's all Sean's custom alloy.
Yep.
Sean used to be in Sydney, and since he moved to Queensland, it was easy for us just to hold stock here for him.
Sure.
We have our range of covers downstairs, and then that's all his range of covers, and then some LS manifolds and things.
Yeah, nice.
Some of the motion race works, and then
you used to sell a lot of that stuff.
The motion side of things, yeah. It's been a mutual deal. So they stock my alternator bracket and stuff over there. So you know, it's hard to control it. They've got a very awesome website. So you don't always get the sale for it here. People will buy it themselves, but I don't mind that. But what we can help with is if they've had an issue, we become their point of contact.
Sure.
So they might have sold something, they might have supplied the wrong part to a customer on their website. It's been packed wrong. So we middleman that for them. So they'll be like, hey Troy, on your order, we're going to send you this. Can you send it on to someone else for us? And then get that part back for us? So it helps each other. I don't mind that we don't get all the sales because I don't have time to pack it all anyway. Trying to build engines and then do everything. But yeah, it gives us a good relationship with them.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Troy, thanks for coming on for an episode of In the Sheds, mate. It's been awesome chatting to you and learning a lot more about these LS engines.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thanks for coming down.
This episode will probably come out in a couple of weeks too, so you'll probably might be overseas.
I might be in Disneyland, but
enjoying yourself. Cool. Awesome, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Guys, don't forget, get over to Warspeed, buy all the stuff LS off this man, or even better, get an engine built by this guy because you won't regret it. Awesome. See you.